live twice. We do got at least 2 people in the chat.
Oh, good, but
hey, we are live now. We got Mama Murphy and the Duelist in the live chat.
Oh, Duelist Den. Hey, what's up?
No, that's wrong. Here, let me show you. But I think it'll show up on your end. There we go. Yeah, see, just the Duelist. It's my brother. He showed up.
Oh, okay.
And then my mother. What's on here? Come on. There we go. She says, hey, what's up?
Hey.
There we go. So, talking about paper. I guess we can start off talking about paper cartridges.
Yeah, we can do that.
So, if I'm not mistaken, paper cartridges were used a lot by the cavalry and like single shot muzzleloaders like this one. Well, not exactly like this one, side locks and stuff like that, but front stuffers.
Well, yeah, because they didn't. Most of the military units didn't issue loose powder and bullets. They would actually issue the boxes with the cartridges in it.
Yeah, which anybody, I don't know why they're doing that. Sorry if y'all hear puppies in the background. They're just been fed, and I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, they're literally like 7 weeks old, and they're spoiled. But how? But yeah, so the paper cartridges, in my opinion, kind of led to the way we are now. Because without a paper cartridge, and honestly, a lot of the Civil War, and I'm not mistaken, yeah, it showed kind of why we needed them. Because if not mistaken, like both sides were using paper cartridges like heavily. I'm not no expert. That's why I brought him. He's more knowledgeable about it than me.
I'm a long ways from an expert too, but yeah, for the most part, that's the way they were issued. And then even commercially, you could go into a sutler and buy pre-made paper cartridges for your gun in your caliber, just like we'd go buy cartridges today.
Yeah, like this little 22, which 22 calibers, even though not the 22 LR, they're kind of like the oldest cartridge still going around because they were used for like gallery guns. Like it was like were like what that big roughly, like the casing of them,
like little shorts.
Yeah, well, I think they were even shorter than that though, weren't they? Like, but they're like little, just something you'd be at a bar drunk and boing, just be planking away at.
You got shorts, longs, and then long rifles. It's like
and then
an inch.
What the two I've got is long rifle and WMR, Winchester Magnum round.
Yeah, I've liked Magnums, but I've never really shot that many of them because they were always. I grew up a poor kid. I couldn't afford them, so I was usually stuck on with long rifles and stuff. I'm still working on my dinner here, so y'all excuse me a little bit if you see me chewing and stuff.
It's fine. I'm checking. I have YouTube up over here on my phone, and then because for some reason, if someone comments over here, it takes like a minute or so to come over here. Everybody, just type out something like "hey" or "hi" so I can know whoever all's here. It's saying we've got 5 people here.
Yeah, I don't see any private chat or comments or anything yet.
Yeah.
No
private chats. Oops. The comments back up. There we go.
I don't know if I type in down here or not. Okay. I just typed in "Hey everyone" and that popped up there. So
Yeah.
do you see it?
Not on YouTube or on here yet. Oh, and private chat. That's where it went. Yeah. It
Oh,
went to private chat. I don't know why it's not on comments. I don't know. I don't know if you can see the comments. I'm still learning StreamYard, guys, so I don't use it enough. And I think they limit how many hours you can do now, so annoying secret. But anyway. So I was reading one of my dime store novels, cowboy westerns, called the Mountain Men series.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a lot of The Preacher, Matt and Smoke Jensen, just because they're interesting reads. They're not very long and they're cheap, right? And I've been noticing that like a lot of them have been becoming more historically accurate. Because I was reading one where he was in a gunfight and he started pulling he pulled paper cartridges out instead of using a powder horn and measure and all that stuff. Like he actually made a mention of it.
Well, if you go through Cowboys' archives and videos, you'll see me doing a lot of the little. When I do them little kind of like walkthrough type of gunfights, and I would make commentaries with it, then I would literally load with paper cartridges in the video.
Yeah.
So you get an idea. You know, you're getting up here, bang, bang, bang. Well, then you got to do it, load it. Yeah, it's a long ways from using like a Glock 17 or even a metallic cartridge pistol these days.
Well,
you really needed to learn how to count your shots, and you needed to know how to take cover and hide or run or do whatever you needed to do.
Yeah. Well, I kind of have a smorgasbord over here in my lap of kind of like majorly big, except for the last, like of cowboy era revolvers. Of some of the major big steps was a cap and ball revolver, either in Remington or a Colt style, which this is just a Colt Navy with the rounded barrel.
It's like Griswold and Gunnison looking.
This is a Leachton Rigdon.
Oh. Yeah, because I think Griswold and Gunnison had a brass frame.
Yeah. And for some reason, this one's off. I don't know why. But yeah, let's face it, was Colt and Remington cap and ball revolvers. They were, let's face it, I think the highest selling black powder airsofts that we had for a long time. And I've seen, and I think the 36 calibers on both of them were a lot more popular than like the big 44s, except for the military.
Remember, 1847 Walker was a 44. The 51 Dragoon was a 44. Then you had the 51 Navy, which was the 36, like the Patterson.
Yeah. Well,
you did not get a 44, to my knowledge, until the 1860 Colt.
Yeah. Well, you had the little pocket model, the 49 pocket model, something like that. Yeah. It was a little 32. Yeah, one of those.
And that was a 32.
And then they came out, and then later on came out with 36 caliber. What was it?
The 51 Navy.
No, I'm talking about it was like a pocket police, the little 36 caliber that looked like the 49.
The London models.
No, it was. It's how how they took the 44 frame or the 36 frame from the Navy and made it to the 44 caliber. They upsized it by making this front part of the cylinder more and cut into that. They did that with the pocket revolver too.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, and they called it, I think, the New Police or something. And it had it was smaller than this. It was about the same size as that one you showed.
I know
But
they had the 62, which was the 1860 Army with the Navy grip frame, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that was a 40.
yeah, I think it was it came out around the same time as the 36. I'm not sure. Where they
You had
it was that weird Colt era where, and honestly, I'm gonna say this now because of so much confusion of this is real, this is not from Colt people. I don't know what to believe and what not to believe because apparently there's this one big author that was making up a whole bunch of stuff. So it's kind of hard. I can't remember the author's name. So it's kind of like we know this much is true, but how much of this other stuff is? So I don't know.
Well, you got a lot of different gun makers. And for the most part, they all stuck to the basically it's a 36, it's a 44, and I think that was 32. And they were pretty much, I think, basic on the calibers. And but you start out with the Patterson, that was a Granddaddy Colt. The 1830 Patterson, that was a 36. Yeah. I don't know if they offered them in 32 or not, but I know it was a 36. Then you had the 1847 series.
Yeah.
Which was your pocket models, 30. Yeah. And if I can do this without dropping it, I actually traded this off for a 98K with a 308 barrel. It was the Israeli rebarrels in 308. I had an issue with it, so I saw them at the gun show and said, you guys are on my poopy list. They said, uh-oh. So I told them what the deal was. And they said, we got your gun. So I got my 51 Dragoon back, my big hog leg.
Yeah, see.
This was a 44.
Yeah, and this is a 36. This is a Leech and Rigdon. Tell me that the Confederacy just didn't take that gun and make it a 36.
Well, they would never make this a 36.
But what I'm saying is
they have a hard time focusing on my camera here.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
44.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the Leech and Rigdon people, that's basically what they did. They scaled the gun you just had in your hand down because it looks almost exactly like it to a T. I wish I had an original to see how much they are different. Because this is a Uberti clone. This is not original. I'm not that rich. Like, I have no money. I'm broke.
So,
hi, Vanessa Kitty.
They started coming out with the 51 Navies. That's 36, Wild Bill Hickok, all the way up to 1872. And to my knowledge, they never historically built a 44 Navy. They were always 36s.
Yeah, well,
now, the 1860, when they came out with the 1860 Army revolver, that was a 44. And the purpose of it is you got the big Dragoon, like what I just had up here, and you had the bigger Walker, which is the Granddaddy. They wanted a Navy-size revolver that had the same knockdown as the Walker and the Dragoon. So that's where they started coming up with the old idea for the 220 grain conical bullets. Because if you look at Belis Nemeth, Captain Balls from Hungary, and Mike Bellevue did it, you basically have a 40-45 grain charge with a round ball in a Walker, and they compared that to an 1860 Colt 44 with a conical bullet in the 23, 24, 25 grains of 3F versus the 45 grains of 2F. Also, you remember the older guns, they were cast iron cylinders, and if you overloaded them, they would explode. Then you were basically running around with a hand grenade waiting for you to pull the trigger on it. So they put up 2x4s, boards, like 10 boards, and the number of boards that it could penetrate was how they used to do the ballistic test back in the day. That was the Ordnance Department penetration test. So the 1860 Colt with a conical bullet and 23, 25 grains of 3F had the same penetration as the big Colt Walker with the round ball using 45, 40 grains of 2F. So that was the whole idea behind the 62 Johnson and Dow conical bullets and that whole family or generation of firearms up to that point.
I'm trying to figure out because I that's not what I wanted. I'm trying to figure out how to do something real quick. Because I figured it's well, the one I was thinking about was the 1862 pocket police. I'm trying to figure out how to show everybody that way. I think it's the percent share screen. Chrome tab. There we go. I don't know how well that's going to work. I don't know if can you see that what I'm talking about? This one?
I don't see anything. No, I'm still looking at you, Jeremy.
Okay. That didn't work. Then that didn't work. There it goes. It's showing. Okay, there. Yeah, this what I'm talking about right here. This little thing where they basically took, I think it was the 32 frame and made it a 36. This one right here, because I couldn't. Yeah, stop sharing. There we go. Stop sharing. Now, I don't know how to remember that. Do I do it right? Everything. Oh.
And I'm not 100% sure, but Mike Bellevue likes to do a lot of videos, the differences between the original and the modern reproductions.
Oh, yeah.
So, pretty much today, and somebody prove me wrong if I'm wrong on this, but in today's market for the Italian replicas, they don't make a whole new frame. They take the Navy Colt and they take the 1860 Army, and for the most part, everything interchanges. It's all the same guns, the same pieces, because they'd have to re-engineer the gun from scratch, and they're not going to do that. So they may come up with a modern version called, well, this is an 1862 police. So basically, you took the 1860 Army and you stuck a Navy grip frame on it, and that's all they did. Now, I don't know back in the day if they would do the same thing or if they'd re-engineer the whole gun, but I'm pretty sure that if you go back in history, they're not going to retool and engineer the whole gun if they didn't have to.
Yeah. But no, like I'm in my lab, we kind of have like a brief jump in history. We have a single shot, which for its day was pretty revolutionary. Side lock, cap lock, single shot, because he gave a lot of people it. And then you had Colt that come out with all their offerings. Then they went up to the.
Jump up, grab something right quick.
Yeah. And then you got the cartridge conversion, which this one's I built myself, so it's not 100% historically accurate.
If I could do this without knocking out a window or knocking over a table, so for anybody who just doesn't know and never really saw one, this is a flintlock.
Yep. Oh, I forgot I had this one. And this is a cap lock.
Yeah.
Which is very dirty. It's been on the wall.
Once you load at the rifle, you feel, I'm doing this backwards. So you put like 4F powder inside here in that pan, you close the prism, and then you have this flint rock that would hit that, and the sparks would ignite the powder in the pan. This is my my Pakistani brown Bess. So, but that's a flintlock, and that's how it works. Cock it all the way back. And did you
Yeah,
see
I
any
can't-
sparks?
Yeah, I
Or
saw
did-
some sparks. Yeah, it sparked a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
So the camera picked it up.
And then from going from that, you had these. Same concept, except you put a nipple, or for military, if I'm not mistaken, it was not the number 11, it was the musket cap, which is a much bigger
Yeah.
cap.
Much bigger cap. But yeah, here's my little Philadelphia Derringer.
Which was
Yeah.
a big jump in technology.
Yep.
Just from
Came
that.
a long ways for shooting in moisture and rain and bad weather and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I might be quoting the story wrong, but what I've heard is that it was started by a duck hunting priest that was tired of not being able to go duck hunting in the bad weather.
Yep, heavy fog and dew and light mist, and then you got to look at for the main part. So here's your 32 again. It's using the same
System.
same cap system, same percussion cap, and it was the advent of the metallic cartridge with the internal, which you had the they call them the pin fires. Yeah, there's your percussion cylinder. So the pin fire, you'd have your case. They drill a hole in it, and they put the percussion cap in sideways, and there'd be a pin sticking out, and the hammer would hit the pin that would set the cap off down inside the case that would fire it. So
Kind of early.
it still used a percussion cap, but it was internal and not external.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it really was drop sensitive, because if something hit those pins, that wasn't the hammer.
Pin, boom, there you go.
Yeah. So even these little rimfires like these, that's the only rimfire cartridge I have is more safe than those, because
And then they call the old 45 Colts the balloon cases, and that's where your primer and stuff was located down on it was still a center fire, but everything was internal, and it looked like a rimfire, but it wasn't a rimfire. It was up in the middle.
Yeah.
So it took time to get it right, to get to where we are now.
Oh yeah, because this is technically not a 45 Colt. This is a 45 long Colt. There's a difference. And the main difference that I have seen from when they were called Colts is this here. And if I'm not mistaken, that big change happened around World War I, when they were trying to get it.
There's so many conflicting stories with that, because even today they'll say, well, there's no such thing as a 45 long Colt. Well, there is, there isn't. I guess you can, Jerry, you argue potato.
Oh yeah,
but
it whatever it said is head stamp, because I have head stamps because I reload all my. Let's say 45 Colt, 45 LC, 45 long Colt. So it just
potato.
It all fits my Remington 1862 cartridge conversion.
Yep.
It all shoots the same projectile. It's a powder primer. It's a 45. It's not 45 ACP.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had
basically you got rimmed, you got rimless. So the big thing they always ask, well, why didn't they chamber the Winchester 73s and 45 Colt, long Colt, whatever? Well, the original ones had a very small rim, and the extractor claw couldn't pick it up.
No. I think that's kind of. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh.
I think that's why they changed it for one of the backup revolvers for World War II. Is they improved this part right here.
They made the rim a lot bigger, and they improved it so that the claw could catch it.
Yeah, for moon clips, so they could get them out of those. What is it? Oh, I think it was like
Colt New Service and the Smith & Wesson New Service.
Yeah, that one. Oh, let me close this tab. That's causing me a lot. But yeah, basically you went from a side lock of some kind to, if you're in the cavalry or an officer, a pistol, and then you went to in my opinion, Colt invented more than just this action. He also invented the first inlines without trademarking it, without copywriting it, and all that stuff. Because everything is in line with everything. And that's a hill I'll die on, because that's the main thing. Because every other one that has a self-turning wheel and everything, or like the flintlocks that would have multiple cylinder barrels, you still had a lot of stuff on the side of the gun, not actually everything in line.
Yep, there were a couple of cap and ball pistols. I can't remember who made them, but they were actually using side locks on the revolvers.
Yep.
And the hammer would bend over and hit it. It was basically like this.
I don't have anything that would be similar.
It would basically be, if you're looking at this one, it's a side lock. But the hammer would bend all the way over to the center of the pistol to hit the percussion cap right there in the middle.
Yeah.
But the revolvers still had the side locks. I mean, I forget what they are, but when I've seen them, they were really cool.
Oh yeah, there's some going back to like early flintlock days, but they were like hugely expensive. Like, so they were never going to get military adoptions. Colts, yeah, you could get two. I think what. Two Dragoon, one Dragoon, not Dragoon, Walker equaled like two single shot pistols. If I'm not mistaken, roughly. When they first came out, and then they just kept getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper from there.
Well, I think the first Walkers were actually sold to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
They were going to go to the U.S. Army, but then Texas came up and said, look, we want Walkers. We want two for each one of our Rangers, so they bought them in pairs.
Yeah.
The other thing Colt had over Remington is Colt had those nice engraved, roll stamped engraved cylinders, and he knew who to give the guns to get the contracts. He was a lot better politician than Remington when it came to marketing and contracting his guns out.
Oh yeah, like I have. For those who don't know, I love Remingtons. Yeah, mainly because it's easier to disassemble them and less moving parts to lose. Yeah, because all the pieces of a Colt or a Colt style revolver. Remington.
Yeah. When you get done playing with it, you got to clean it.
Yeah.
Here's the Colt. So let me get it in this frame. You got to take these two screws out here, these two screws out, the two screws out here, the two screws out here, the screw at the base of the butt, screw up in the front. That gets your trigger guard off. And then you got to knock the wedge out. Keep it in frame. This is the wedge. You got to knock it out. And
I'm trying to get.
I mean, then you got to get down in here, and that's a lot. It's very labor intensive to take this Colt apart. Like I said, there's two screws back here, two screws right here, a screw down there, a screw here, the wedge. And the thing with the Remington is when you do the Remington, you take this screw out, then this just pulls down and comes out. You take the grips off, pull the cylinder pin, cylinder comes out, and it's fill strip for cleaning. So I can do 3 of these, and the same time it would take me to do 1 of these.
Right.
Now we are blessed with hot running tap water, which is better than the cold river or boiling water in your coffee pot and pouring it over at the campfire. So we are blessed with great many things.
You've had both Colt and Remingtons. Probably a lot more and done a lot more with them. Here's my Colt cylinder, which as you can see, it's well engraved, and I've already started historically trying to take the bluing off and letting it oxidize on one side and not the other to make it look older. And I've done this, been doing the same process.
Yeah.
This is from my 36. This one, these cylinder get mouse, that right there, that one that's loaded in there, I just keep it there because I couldn't get the nipples out. I've never been able to take the nipples out. I broke 3 wrenches trying to get these out. Thank you, Pieta, by the way. All these right here are not 36 caliber. They're 38 caliber. Modern 38 caliber.
Yeah, it's like a 375, 37.
378.
Yeah.
So, but the bore is 36 caliber.
Yeah, and
So I don't.
they used to have. They had a different way of measuring it. It's like, I think it was almost like the number of bullets you could make out of a pound of lead or something like that.
Yeah, and then I think they measured one. I've heard this quoted differently, so if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm always willing to learn new stuff. One was measured off the lands, and one was measured off the groove. How they switched it up.
Yeah,
and I can't. One was said, "Oh, this one's this one, and this one's that one." But
I've slept too many days since I first read and heard all that too. So
tell me.
That's something we'd have to research and come back on, but
I just wanted to show something. I can get a little bit more powder safely into this Remington than I can, or use longer projectiles in this Remington than I can this Colt style.
Yeah. Remington does have a little bit bigger cylinder.
And you were talking about that roll engraved. Even though this is Leach and Rigdon, it's not supposed to have this. They just took basically Navy parts and then Dragoon barrel made it down until it looked 36 caliber-ish. So, yeah, there's that. Now, this one actually shoots pretty good. I haven't had to do any kind of like sighting in on it too much, But these, I think the pocket models were more popular than anything because of like the gold rush in California.
Somebody told me that they sold more pocket models than they sold anything else. And a lot of that is because I think people that lived in the cities, a lot of cities, you couldn't carry guns. They had ordinances from it. So they had to carry concealed and they had to hide it. So, this is what they killed Lincoln with.
Oh, yeah.
And this was pretty much your gentleman's Derringer that you'd stick in your coat pocket. Well, it's a 44. Well, they call it a 45. It shoots a 44 round ball with a patch. But, it's a 45. So you got one shot. If there's 3 bad guys, you got one shot and a small club. They come out with the pocket model, and now you've got 5 shots.
Yeah.
Our favorite term we got nowadays, this is like a great little EDC gun. I know a lot of people that got into trouble that can't own a real gun. And I say real gun because centerfire, modern centerfire. And this is, I have a hard time focusing. Okay.
Well, let me put you on.
Everything is reversed, so I'm chasing it.
I'm putting you on. I'm trying to put you on solo mode. There, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, you've got 5 shots, and shot placement rules. You hit somebody in the jugular, hit them between the eyes, hit them in the lower and a softer spot. They're not going to chase after you. And it was just not practical to carry a full-size 8-inch barreled Army revolver. Is that yours, Jeremy, or is that mine?
That's mine.
Okay. Our cat has a tendency to attack our Chihuahua.
Well,
because
And
he's
then, like,
puppy. He hasn't quite developed the gumption to fight back yet. He just gets scared, hides in the corner, and the cat just keeps going at him.
I have a almost 3-year-old dog that still thinks he's a cat. And they were both technically raised by cats, but
yeah,
that's neither here or there.
Our cat growls like a dog. Somebody walks around outside, he'll actually start growling.
Yeah.
Very territorial.
And then a lot of these, if I'm not mistaken, were made in like Remington 1862s. They paid the Roland White patent, $1 a cylinder, and they made something similar to this. It's not a perfect copy, but it's as close as we're going to get. Well, ignore that this thing broke. Blowing lever, it's just on there for looks. But the only other way to get a cartridge firing gun was something similar to this, or what is it?
Smith and Wesson had the patent on the bore-through cylinder.
Yeah,
that's why they didn't. They had Richards Mason start making the 67 to 72 models under contract for Colt. And then when the patent expired in 73 is when they came out with the Peacemaker.
This thing. Well, but yeah, but most people had to get something very similar to this if they wanted
a cylinder or to make the conversions.
To use something, one of these, except it would probably 44. It's 44 rim fire, then 44 Winchester center fired was, I think, the first big cartridge that was in a lot of like rifles and
40 to 3840. There was 22s and 32s, and there was some small. They had people carrying 22 rim fires in the Civil War as backup guns for close quarters. And the only people that built the guns was Smith and Wesson because they had the patent on the bore-through cylinder.
Yeah.
And the biggest complaint a lot of the soldiers had was it was a 22.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you start making the 38 or a 44 or something bigger with more knockdown power? Because you're getting into these big battles, bayonet charges and cavalry charges and the melees, and you've got your single shot musket. And I mean, if you get scared enough and you've rammed 8 rounds down your musket without firing it, you're going to be pulling a lot of balls to get that thing clear. So your musket's useless. Or you ran out of ammunition, so you need, now you're in flight mode and you wanted something bigger than a 22.
Oh yeah, but speaking from someone that's been shot with a newer 22 twice, 22 still hurt.
They hurt and they'll kill you if you're not careful.
Yeah, but the person
all you gotta do is nick that. But now here's the thing: if you're in a knife fight, there's a difference between waiting 10 minutes for the guy. Granted, the tide has turned in your favor if you shot the other guy with a 22. But if you've got 10 minutes till he bleeds out, that's a long time to be in a knife fight.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, but for what? I'm going to say, Remington. I know Remington was paying Roland White to do the bore-through cylinders to convert a lot of their backstock of Cap & Ball revolvers into cartridge firing.
Yeah, I think that was Richardson Mason's when they had the contracts. They were having them do it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not as
I might be lying to you, but I know Richards Mason's were doing it from 67 to 72. Yeah. And then when the patent expired, that's when Colt picked it up with their Colt 45.
Yeah, the Colt Peacemaker, which this is a Heritage Rough Rider, so it's not an exact copy. Maybe more of their, the last generation they did with a safety, trigger hammer block safety.
Yeah. Well, I think that didn't come out until Ruger, but it was the 1873 Army revolver.
Yeah, which this is everything but the caliber is pretty much the same with this. That's, like I said, their later version because it doesn't have it. It has this. I think you have one, don't you? So you know what I'm talking about.
I EDC my Cimarron, which it's like a second generation. The Okay, let's go with this one again. So if this was your gun, the original ones had the screw that went in right here, and
Yeah.
that held the cylinder pin. Then you had the little push button that would slide back and forth that you could pull the
Which this one is.
cylinder pin, arbor, whatever you want to call it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first black powder frames, the screw was right here, and you actually had a flat screw that would hold the cylinder pin into the frame.
Okay.
And that's typically what they call the black powder frame.
Okay. Well, then this one.
That's when they started designing it for smokeless powder.
Yeah. This, which by the way, this thing, I really love this thing because I think this is the 4 or 5 inch barrel, depends if you're a game warden or not.
Mm-hmm.
And this one right here in a pair of my dress pants just slides right on in. No problem. Like I can just literally put this in my pocket and no one knows I have it there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I do have very deep pockets. So that was something like that, which I wanted to get me one of those little pocket guns. Just
Well, this is the one. Okay, my finger's in the trigger, and
Yeah.
this was all things cowboys, hobbies, guns, gear, and garb. For a single action revolver, if I'm carrying this, it's on an empty cylinder. The hammer's all the way forward, and the only way it's going to go off is if you cock it. Now, when you cock it,
there you go.
see how my finger didn't move?
Oh yeah.
Technically, I'm supporting the weight of the gun with that finger because I have such a small grip. Now, for a little gun like this, it doesn't matter. But as I said in my little video I put in the Cowboys, when you're talking about 4 pounds of real steel, if you don't support this gun when you reach up there, okay. So I'm going to cock it. If I come outside this is what I've got. This is all I've got on the gun.
And I think
if I'm on horseback, this thing's just going to come right out of my hand. So
yeah, if you do it like that, yeah, like you're supposed to, yeah, and you go to try
you support the gun with that index finger. So that way, when you reach up with your thumb and you cock it, my finger didn't move. Now, when I get ready to fire it, I make sure I got a good grip on it, and now all I got to do is slide my finger back. In a big gun like this, that's a 1/2 inch.
Yeah, and this one's the.
I can fit two. I can fit 2 fingers inside this trigger guard between the trigger and the front of the guard.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, we're close to same hand size.
Pretty much.
On this Remington, I can take this finger here. Even if I was to do it the way I'm supposed to do it, this is how I would have to cock it every single time.
You do that on a horse, you're gonna blow the back of that horse's head out of his nose.
Yeah, or it's just going to be in the ground, like 10 yards back.
Yeah, I mean, now when you got a 1911, keep your booger hook out of the trigger guard until you're ready.
Hey,
so I mean, if I'm going to reach up here and cock it, I can still. That is a bigger grip. It's completely different than that little curved Colt grip. So I can cock this, and even left-handed, I can take my index finger, I could pop that safety on, or I can come around here. You see how I'm basically supporting the gun? I have a lot more control over the semi-automatic than I do. It's harder to get my thumb around there than it is to do this.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to know your weapon, and you have to know the functionality so that it's not one rule. It's not like one ring to rule them all, okay? Whether Gollum's wearing it or Frodo's, not one ring. There's different rings. There's different weapons. There's different systems. You get your booger hook in there, and you got control over the gun. You cock it. You slide your finger back. But when you're going to have a cocked pistol with a hairpin trigger, I'm having a real hard time keeping it in focus. But you're bouncing up and down. You're doing all this on horseback. You're coming across that bale of hay. Now you want to put your finger down in there? No. You keep the hammer forward until you're ready to shoot. Cock it, point it, bang. Now my fingers pull the trigger down, but it's already fired. It's not going to shoot again until I cock it.
And I usually push on mine, like my Colts. I usually do kind of like a little bit of like a little twirl, just to make sure that cap has enough momentum to fly off and not burn my hand. Because for those who do not shoot Captain Ball revolvers, they are hot.
Yeah, sometimes you got to give it a little shake, or sometimes you got to, I'm supporting it with my finger. Now I'm going to reach around here, and I'm going to take my finger, and I'm going to flick that old cap out of there. Sometimes you can dig that out. Because remember, this hand is still controlling my horse. I've only got one hand to shoot the gun if I'm on horseback. So, I did Civil War cavalry for about 23 years, and you pick up things. It feels natural, and it gives you the most control over the horse, the most control over the gun. Because if the gun goes off, you got the horse's head in front of you. You got the guy on the left, the guy on the right, the guy behind you, the guy in front of you. You don't want to shoot. Even with blanks, you're throwing a lot of burning gunpowder out the end of that barrel. And cream of wheat, whatever you're using for filler, whether it's cream of wheat or Cocoa Puffs or Malt-O-Meal's got too big of chunks in it, and that could bury in your face if you're too close. But point being is, you got to be really keen on your muzzle awareness.
Oh, big time, yeah.
These things are like throwers.
A lot of people, I cut it out of the video, but my brother, you catch him like doing like this with his friend, like this on the, and I ripped him a new one because he was looking down there like this with the barrel right here, and his finger pressing that and his thumb like this.
Yeah,
all it would take is just one little slip, and then
it don't take a lot to set them caps off sometimes, especially if you got a real stiff hammer spring.
Well, it wasn't on the Captain Ball. It was on this. He was getting shoot this and went over it and over it and over it and over it with him. Yeah. Which, by the way, for those who don't know, I can easily take this cylinder out and put my Captain Ball cylinder still in. I just have to load this thing off of a gun. Which, by the way, me and Piet had a talk about that because what happened on mine, that screw that goes across to hold the plunger in place, I was loading a Hornady 44 caliber round ball, a 4.51 round ball, which was a little undersized, and it bent that screw completely out of hell. So that screw just, I guess, didn't have the right temper. And they just said, "Oh well."
I did that. I did that on a brass frame Navy once. Use this one. So the screw he's talking about would be like this one, except the Remington is back here in the back. But I actually broke this screw right here. I bent it, and it basically the threads and everything got wallowed out. So what I did is I found a rusty nail on the ground. I used a rusty nail because it looked better than a nice, pretty, shiny, plain one. But I just stuck a rusty nail down in there, put it down on something solid, and then I beat the nail down and turned it into a rivet. So the loading lever this got a little bit different catch on it. So the loading lever was permanently, actually it was this one, not that one. It was this one. I just put the nail in here, and then when I beat it down, I riveted it over. So the loading lever was permanently attached forever to the gun with a rivet. But, it was a cheap fix.
So, that's kind of, I could have easily bought, I can still do it if I wanted to. This part. Buy all this, but instead of that, I just pinged that out and then just made it an 1862.
You can weld that up and drill it back out and do all kind of good stuff too. But what I would do, you've got two of those still, right?
Somewhere.
somewhere.
It got put in a box, and I don't know where
You've
it's at.
got one that'll load black powder round balls in the cylinder. That one, I would get the aftermarket, more modern little keeper. That for when you use your conversion kit, it's a quick release for the pin, and it's cheaper than the loading lever.
Yeah, I thought about that too. But what I love is that this one, I don't know what it is, but that screw's a lot stronger. Now, these are both Piettas. I don't know why I put this one back together. The 44 cylinder is like that way. So I'm just using this conversion cylinder. The way Pietta does this, instead of making a whole new frame and a whole new barrel and all that stuff for their 36s, they just take a 44 frame and then bore it out for 36. I have a feeling that's the same way with probably Uberti too.
I'm pretty sure because they're not going to re-engineer the whole gun if they don't have to.
So if I need to, I can use this one to load my 44.
Yep, because I think even if that's got a shorter barrel, the loading lever will be the same length.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's the same. It's literally the same frame. Can I get it loaded up? Because here's the 36 caliber, and then the 44. So it's literally just the same freaking frame. Just this one has a shorter barrel than this one. Which I thought when I bought this one that I had bought it to where it was 45. I could just take this and put it in this and have a smaller barrel. I accidentally clicked instead of 44, 36. So that's how I ended up with a 36 one of these. Not mad about it. Gives me a little, when it's primitive season, gives me a little squirrel gun to go hunting with. This one and that Leechton Rigdon. So make sure all parts go back to the actual gun.
Well, I really scaled back on my black powder stuff. The Brown Bess, I actually use that for like a Fowler.
Yeah.
Got my double barrel, and I've got my old Thompson center contender, Hawkins. But I had got rid of all my black powder pistols except for this one. And without breaking my computer screen, then, like I said, I traded this one off for the 98K, but then it came back to me. So, Steel Additive, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, then it's meant to be forever.
All right.
This one, the gentleman cut me such a deal. I was trying not to do it, but he tempted me, and finally I had to give in. So, I'm not going to say what I gave for it, but I got a really good deal on it.
Yeah, please don't, because YouTube will just destroy my whole channel.
I'm not going to do that.
And then we're already pushing the buttons now.
And this was already this was part of the same trade with the Dragoon. And we just needed something for my trade versus what I was getting. That was the filler to fill up the gap. So, and I used to pick these things up for a song and a dance. And now if you price these things from Taylor and anybody else, they're freaking insane.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why, because there's nothing to them.
It's like literally like what? Maybe an inch or two of barrel?
Wood with a barrel strapped on it and a side lock cut into it.
It's kind of how I got this one. I found a beat up old inline, had a gunsmith lop the barrel down, lop the side, and then I just took the stock and cut. Now I got me an inline pistol. That's 9 inches long.
Nice little hunting pistol.
Yeah. I got to find a site because this railing, I'm trying to figure out which. It's a little weird because this part's actually supposed to be where this front sight is.
Here's my idea for the site. Just go get you a nice little battery-powered aim point and stick it on there like a little cheap $30 Amazon Romeo or something.
I've been thinking about that, but I'm just worried about the recoil if it would break them. That's what I'm mainly trying to figure out.
How much powder you're going to put behind it? It's a short barrel. What's your max load on that going to be? 35 grains, 40 on the high side?
One of these filled. Yeah, literally just a 45 cold
35,
case
40 grains.
on top. And this one, round balls nowhere near accurate. And then I use my, I think it's like my 50 caliber. I think it's like 350 grain, a 350 grain Lee real bolt or whatever it is. 300 something. It's in the 300 range.
Whatever you buy, if you buy one, get it rated for a shotgun.
Okay. Yeah.
Because your shotgun sights are rated for a little bit more recoil than your rifles. So long as it's rated for a shotgun, I think you'd be fine with it. I mean, that'd be an awesome little, low light, early morning, dusk, beautiful little single shot pistol for up close hunting, like, tree stands, or you climb a tree and find a branch over the trail and they're coming in, just boom.
Yeah, because I've got this one for my long range, and this one up to I've shot. Well, you've shot this one.
I've shot that one.
Yeah, and you know how accurate it is. They'll hit a videotape. All right.
Oh, we'll let that videotape go all over the place, and you'll be out there for an hour picking that up. Ask me how I know.
There's a video of it. But that was a fun day. I have to admit, that was a fun day. I'm actually.
Yeah, I was gonna come out and do another road trip, but then somebody got elected over somebody else, and the gas went from like Texas prices from $1.29 to $4.59, almost $5, and I can afford 1,000 round trip for gas, but 1,000 each way just got a little bit too much for me in my old pickup truck.
Oh, trust me, I was planning on coming down to Texas. Just even in my wife's car, it was going to be expensive.
Yeah,
and with the gas prices right now, it takes $25 to fill her tank. But,
yeah, it's like $75 to fill up my truck.
Oh, my vehicle, it's just parked right now because Diane, I would butcher her name. It says her heritage has 4 clicks. Was mine? I haven't really ever counted mine. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 clicker.
So it is
COLT spells out Colt.
Well,
Thank you, Diane.
Wonder what else? Oh, I had to update my chat over here on my phone. I forget sometimes that if you have it up too long, it'll just freeze it.
I can't see anybody that's out here with us today, but how many people actually joined us, Jeremy?
We're sitting at 5 people right now.
Well, that's not too bad.
No, because let's face it.
Let it notice and just coming on and.
Which I'm going to be trying to do these more often. It's just my work schedule, my last job. I tried to tell him that I needed weekends off so I can do this and do that. And guess what happened? Every weekend I was working closing shifts. But I was making money, so I couldn't complain.
Yeah. I've been blessed. I haven't worked in 5 years because I hadn't had to, but I'm online a lot, and I'm not too familiar with all of this, but you get on Discord and we have some pretty good conversations there. My guild for Forge of Empires that I play, we'll do the war room for when we're doing guild versus guild, and then we'll just hang out and level our buildings for our cities and just talk. And you can share screens, you can do all sorts of stuff. Discord is actually pretty awesome, I gotta admit. And I'm not sure how you could record that and transfer that to YouTube or anything. I'm not that tech savvy, but
if your phone or whatever you have has a share screen option, you'd be able to do that like mine. Hold on,
I can share I know how to share my screen with the other people in Discord, but I don't know how I could share that to another social media platform.
Okay, I'm gonna take mine to here real quick. So I'm trying to get it to solo layout real quick. My phone just has built in. I don't know how well this is gonna show up. Hold on, let me do this. Okay. Oh, there we go. Haha. Mine has a screen recorder where I can just record things,
Okay.
and then I'll turn it into a video, and then yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about doing that for like some things because there's some information I'd like to get out there, but I don't have the money to buy the actual. Look, I'm trying to exit solo. Like I have a whole bunch of PDFs, right, that have like a lot of stuff in it. If I'm going to be like going through those, like saying this is the drill that I want to do, right? Because there's one that's actually from the U.S. Army, where it talks about the side lock drills and like for drills. There's got one in there for like a single shot bolt action rifle, which I could use this for. Instead of using 22 WMR, just use the 22 LR, which this one will shoot perfectly fine. Shoots a little low though, but we'll extract it, but won't feed it through the tube. So, and yeah, it'll blow out the case a little bit, but I'm not going to be using the case for anything except make them into percussion kits for this thing. Which, oh my god, they work for. So yeah, and I do have a fouling piece that was not ever meant to be a fouling piece that I gotta get. Oh, I'll work onto that one. I have a night rifle, right? That's supposed to be a night rifle, an LK93, and the barrel is so gone out of it. There is no rifling whatsoever out of it. It shoots, but I have taken it before I cracked. Apparently, the percussion cap, the nipple or cone on it was too long. And I didn't know that because the breech block that's supposed to be in there is meant for a musket cap. And so was the little slide bolt that hits it or pin, whatever. I can't think of it right now. Was set up for musket caps. Now I gotta convert it to number 11, which I've got all the parts. I just gotta actually do it. But the barrel's so gone out of it. I mean, that one came out in January 1st, 93 was when it came out the factory line. And it was probably heavily used and abused. It's black. Let's face it, a lot of the problems I see in a lot of the black powder groups and stuff that I see is people treating black powder like it's smokeless.
Yeah, you got to clean it.
Yeah, but they're used to, I can take this 22 out, shoot it all day long, throw it in the safe for a week, and it'll be fine. I can take it apart, clean it, it'll be as fine. It won't be as bad. But if I did that, let's face it, if you did that anything black powder, that thing is locked up.
Yeah.
Shoot. This thing's just been sitting on my wall since I last shot it, and I don't know how well y'all can see it, but just the air is on there. There's rust starting to form, and I put Ballistol on this thing.
I always use boar butter.
Boar butter,
Rem oil, 3-in-1 mixed with boar butter. Put on a paintbrush. Well, even my smokeless powder guns, I do the same thing. Just Rem oil and boar butter, and I mean the boar butter's got fish oil in it, and it repels water, so moisture is what kills it.
Yeah. Well, the reason I went to Ballistol is because it's been around for a very long time.
Been around for a very long time.
So, and like museums use it and stuff. But what I'd got, instead of just being pure Ballistol, was already mixed, and then I mixed it again, so it wasn't as potent. So I had to buy more of it, and now I'm gonna have to go back with all my guns and clean them.
I think in my entire life, I have gone through and I have shot lots and lots and lots and lots more, and then lots more after that. I think in my entire life, I bought 3 tubes of boar butter, and I've still got a half a tube of boar butter left on my 3rd tube. After shooting black powder since I was 20. I mean, I'm going to be 59 this year, and I started shooting black powder when I was 20. I mean, and the thing is, you get some 3-in-1 oil or Rem oil or whatever over the years, and you put a little bit out on your paintbrush and you let it soak in there, and then you squeeze the tube of boar butter, this big old plastic squeeze tube, and the boar butter comes up right to the edge. You just dip the paintbrush into it, and then you just paint it all on there. And then if you get like little round pipe cleaning type brushes, same thing. You just dip the tip of it in there, and I mean, a little goes a long way.
Oh yeah, my roughly a little over 6 years ago is when I started shooting black powder. That's why I tell everybody I'm nowhere near an expert. There's still gobs I don't freaking know, and most of the stuff I use black powder for
can't get you in there. I'm going to show you my werewolf, German Shepherd.
Most of them, I like the history, but most of the stuff I use my black powder stuff for is hunting. Is to put, meat in the fridge or freezer. Depends if I'm going to cook it that night or not, but still.
Yeah. Well, I built a 458 SOCOM, and then I picked up one of the the Winchester XPRs at 308. I got it into it right off a gun trader. So that's been primarily my 2 main hunters. Now I just got into the thermal game too, and I use my my NFA stamped short barrel for that also. But I still like my black powder. I don't hunt with it as much as I used to, but when I just down, soft lead works better than just about anything else.
Well, because I've used smokeless for so long that this is not really a challenge for me. And I kind of like to have a little bit of a challenge when I go out hunting. I don't want to go out bear hunting, but I want to be, there might be the powder didn't set right in the barrel when I loaded it down my muzzle loader. So it shoots a little left instead of right. It's just, and I guess it's still new, the newness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's with these these are reloads, by the way. Like with these are 225 grains, semi-jacketed hollow points, right? They're going to shoot differently than my 200 grains. Or you shoot 250 grains, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
What I call my lead service load is a 250 grain bullet, and I've got some 200 grain plinkers. Now, the main reason I just got me a 200 grain mold, but one of the main reasons I get the 200s is I use the same cowboy bullet in my revolvers as I do my 1911. And the only problem I've had since you're shooting a 452 diameter bullet out of a 451 bore is when you would use the cowboy bullets, not all of them. This is the only one I actually had a problem with. It would come about this far. Get it back there. Come about there that far and stop before it went in the battery. Then you'd have to take your thumb and just give it a little help. Now, what I did,
Here, let me put you in.
It's supposed to be the same finish as the finish on the gun, but if you notice, it's been blued. So I took a file and a stone, and it's blow mold injection, hammer forged, and all this stuff. So the barrel was like this, and I basically flattened the whole thing out so that way, as you work it, you should be able to see that there's no scratches in it.
Yeah.
It's a perfect fit and perfect flush. I've got 2 of these. This is the T-Since 1911 GI model. It's as close as you can get to a GI 1911.
Without
the only thing you got to do to them to make them shoot like an instead of being a $400 gun, to shoot like an $800 gun, is go get you a $20, $30 Wilson Combat Performance Spring Upgrade kit and just change all the springs out in it. And there's a little bit of hand fitting. I polished all the rails. Can you hear it rattle?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. If it doesn't rattle, it doesn't shoot when it gets dirty. So,
Yeah, it's kind of like which one was it? There you go. Like this one. On this one, I had to do like minor fits to get the even with the cap and ball cylinder, it was like dragging. I had hold on.
the biggest problem I've had with the cap and ball cylinders is when they machine them out, they're not flush.
Oh no.
And if you get your 2-inch sharpening stone, what I do is I would go like this. I turn it 90 degrees. I do it like this. Then I turn it 45 degrees. I do it like this. And I would basically, you try not to take off the star. You take it off the front until you get the right amount of headspace clearance between the throat of the cylinder and the forcing cone. And the forcing cone is that piece sticking out inside the frame right there. That's the barrel. Forcing cone is where it goes in and it forces it down into the grooves.
Yeah.
But in any case, yeah.
On this one, I had right here on I'm trying to get it in frame. This right here,
The cylinder ball, locking ball.
yeah, there was a spur, like they just didn't finish smelling it on this flat side right here, and so it was literally
Gouging the crap out of your cylinder.
on both of them. Yeah, like
Yeah,
bad.
a really nasty turn ring.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? And I just felt I'm like, I just cut myself on that. That's why it's doing that. Now I rounded it off. I took on this hammer. There was some. I had to file it, some burrs out of it, like actual take a metal file and file it to get some of the burrs out. And then I took some cold blue and I blued the damn thing, just because it kind of looks a little better. Because I also took off the bluing that was on there.
Yeah.
I probably didn't need to, but I also blued the spring. Cold blued the spring.
Yeah. Yeah, Pieta and Uberti are both really bad about their quality control. They can really do a whole lot better. And the big thing, fit and finish wise. So what I should be able to do with this wedge, I should be able to take my finger and I should be able to push it out like this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that little retaining screw right there
Should catch it.
falling out. And that way, when you pull it off, but this one is stuck on here. I want to show you a little trick. So the cylinder at the bottom, the center of the 2 cylinders chambers are right there.
Yep.
I want to make sure this is all the way out. Watch it not work. But I'm going to take my wedge and I'm going to push it. Can you see how I pried it off the cylinder pawl? That's one way to get it off. But
like this is a Uberti as well. Yeah. This is the one I spent the most money on. And as you can see, I still got work to do on that.
Yeah, that's where we did the cavalry reload. You take your spare cylinder and you hit the wedge, knock it out, do your deal, knock it back in with the empty cylinder. But when you when you replace the cylinders in it,
They're supposed to fit perfectly. Like,
yeah. And now here's the other thing. You've heard about the Uberti arbor button, right?
okay, say that again.
The Uberti arbor button.
Yeah, kind. I think.
What that is. Let me see if I can get something to point here.
I'm gonna put you in solo layout while you do that.
So basically, right here, they don't make this long enough to bottom out in here. Okay, then the arbor should bottom out inside the barrel assembly.
Huh.
That way, the wedge has no effect on how it fits. All right. So you have to drill and tap it and put your little screw in it, or you weld a piece of brass on it, or you get a little washer, wafer, whatever, and you put it up in here. But you basically want this, which I'm looking right here. It's actually pretty good. This is actually bottoming out. So you should be able to see some daylight.
A little bit.
You see that little bit of daylight?
Just a little bit.
So this one technically does not need an arbor button. If anything, I could probably take a little bit off the arbor so that way it would go in further. But the wedge should not have to be beaten into the slide. Now, if you look here, it's not coming out all the way. So that's where I would have to do a little bit of fit and finishing on this without having to.
How about mine? I mean, because that's how deep mine goes in. Oh, hold on, Aaron. Kick you out. So
okay. That's a little bit too far.
How about what about mine right here? Because that's about where mine would.
I'm trying to tear my guns up. So yeah. So you want this to come in and out on its own. All right.
So.
And now that's. See, there you see a little bit of, if I catch it just right, you see a little bit of daylight in there.
Yeah.
So that's about right. But that wedge is supposed to come in and out. It's supposed to be retained by that screw, and you're supposed to take the screw to get it to come out.
So I need to do something with mine, don't I? Because that's as far as mine goes in.
Well, it's supposed to bottom all the way out, all the way down to the bottom. And that's why I say you drill and tap it, and you put you a plug, like a hex type plug in it, or you can solder you a brass button on the end of it, or you get a little steel wafer or whatever, and you fill that up, and it sets the head space on the barrel to the frame. So that way there's no extra pressure where the wedge is not holding it in or anything like that.
Mine almost completely bottoms out because
almost.
Yeah, see. So I might do that. See, but I don't know. Mine, the way it shoots now is like.
Don't mess with it. If it shoots,
it
works. If it shoots good, and it works for you. Don't mess with it. But that is a big problem. Is they call them the arbor buttons on the Ubertis. Pieta, you don't have that problem so much. Pieta's got their own little list of things that you have to do to make them more authentic and make them work right, especially if you're going to shoot conicals out of them. But
yeah, you got this one. I don't know what I can do to get it to shoot conicals better out of it because of how far that goes down. That loading plunger.
Okay, that is a slippery slope, and all I'll tell you is that metal comes off easier than it goes on. So number one, is that your 36 or your 44?
This is my 36, but I'm not really probably ever going to mess with it anything but besides round ball because in my state,
The only thing to hunt with it is rabbits, right?
rabbits, yeah, you're supposed to use round ball. So, and I can't even use that one anymore to hunt with. So it'd probably just be it's going to be my plinker. You know,
Little 90 grain round balls or 70 grain round balls, and
36 if I'm not mistaken. They're 80 grains if they're pure lead. If I'm not mistaken. Close. I have a chart somewhere.
Yeah.
Where I don't know where it says how much they are. Like where someone weighed a bunch of them out of pure lead, and this is their average is around 80 grains. But 80 grains, that's almost as heavy as a 9 mil. I think
9 mil is 115. 380 is usually around 80 to 90 grain bullets, 100 grains on the very high side. But 9 mil usually starts about 90 and goes up to 147.
Okay, so I was thinking 380, but
as high as machine gun bullets and all that stuff.
yeah. So yeah, you're getting 380 weight with depending on the powder.
This is a 311 round ball when I cast it because the reason I got this gun is I already make the round balls for it because I use them for buckshot.
I use for my mother's 20 gauge. I take 5 36 caliber round balls and load those in there. I think they're like what, triple aught buck load.
I think double aught buck is 35 caliber.
They're 375 round balls. So yeah,
it's gonna be like aught buck.
All I know is that whatever they hit, they say bye bye.
Give me a second. If this works for me without a bunch of pain in the neck. What is the caliber diameter of different types of buckshot?
According to Silencer Central, as these numbers decrease into zeros or the aughts, the size increases more.
Number 4 is
Zero buckshot
0.24.
represents 0.32 inch diameter pellets, and the largest 000 buckshot pellets are 0.36 inch in diameter.
Did you hear all that?
No.
Okay. Number 4 is a 24 caliber.
Okay.
Number 1 is a 0.3 inch. Aught buck is a 32. So our 311s would be aught buck. And then the largest is triple aught buck, which is 36.
Okay.
So your triple caliber round balls are going to be triple aught buck.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I'm showing the double aught buck, and I think double aught buck is 35.
Oh, well, either way, my mother can shoot it. Because I don't have the shotgun drams, like the little shotgun dram measures.
Yeah.
I watched what is it? Bucky Thompson's his loading of like the black powder shotguns, like the muzzle loading ones, and then kind of took that and then incorporated that. He says a dram's roughly about 30 grain. So since she was shooting in smokeless 2.5 drams, that'd be what, 75 grains.
I paid $10 for a Lee Loadall, which is your little crappy plastic 12 gauge only shotgun press.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have different inserts. Well, I paid $10 for it used, and I didn't get all those fancy inserts. So what I do is I use the shotgun loader, but I've got the Lee Loadall dippers, dip cups. So I go off the dip cups, which are all based in grains.
Well, so, like I said, I
just look them up like that.
Well, like I said, 75 grains of 2FG black powder on top of 6 or 5 36 caliber round balls. That's whatever. It's because she uses her single shot 20 gauge for home defense, so 7 yards. Shooting someone with that's like shooting someone with 30 .36 caliber 5 times at once.
If I was going to use this Brown Bess, which is basically a 12 gauge shotgun, if I can get it up here,
Yeah.
this basically 75 caliber.
Yeah.
You take a 480 grain round ball. Let's just say I wanted to duplicate the British musket load.
Yeah.
480 grain round balls in the double wrap paper cartridges, all that good stuff. I can also make them a little bit longer when you take the 480 grain round ball and you stick 3 bucks, the 311 round balls, and you make it fucking ball.
Yeah.
You're going to hit them with a 480 grain round ball slug and 3 shots out of this all at the same time. They're probably going to have a bad day.
Yeah. Well, in a shotgun in a shell, you got limited space. That's why instead of 6, I've got 5. I'd rather have the more powder. The powder was fine, but the 6th one would stick out a little bit past the shell, so it.
Yeah, and typically you'd have to get a shotgun that shoots a 3.5 inch Magnum shell and use the longer shells.
Well, hers, I think it can go up to 2 3/4.
Yeah, you got the short shells, so you're very limited on the length.
Well, I think I don't know. I don't have it with me to look. I can't. I'm having to do a lot of stuff off memory right now.
3 inch gives you pretty good. The 3.5 gives you a lot of room, almost too much.
But she had some coyotes come up around her, which are around here are considered pest animals. So, and the Arkansas Fish and Game has told us get rid of them. We don't care how, but get rid of them. She had one come up trying to get to one of her dogs. It didn't leave the property.
Yeah.
With that one of those shells. And it. But how much black powder substitutes do you use?
Do I use these days?
Yeah.
I look at it and I play it with it, and I guess about the time that I came and did my little round robin trip and stuff, that was probably the height of my black powder. I did Civil War cavalry for 23 years, and I got out of it. And then I started watching too many of Mike Bellevue's videos, and I got back into it. And, I was carrying a loaded percussion cap 44 Navy London model for my everyday carry for a while. And these days, I got my Dragoon back. I bought the little Dragoon. I got the Philadelphia Derringer in a trade. Never shot any of them. The Dragoon and the little 47 they're brand new unfired. This one, I think I've taken it out and I've fired it on 2 occasions. One with the percussion cylinder and one's after I got the conversion cylinder. Problem is what I deem my lead service loads are not lawyer load friendly. And even though I've shot them in Schofields and everything else, I don't shoot them in that cap and ball. So I have to, I think what I'm going to wind up doing is that conversion cylinder Remington is going to be black powder cartridges only. So once I fire them a couple of times, they're going to be so dirty, filthy, and dark stained that even if I tumble them, I'm going to know which ones are black powder and which ones are not.
Well, hold on. These. Okay. Now, for context, I pulled these projectiles out of a standard box of 45 Colt rounds. Right. Now these are loaded with 777 because I wanted to do 5 shots with 777 out of the same projectile, and then the smokeless loads.
Yeah.
I shot a whole box full of these. These are Federal hold on. Oh crap, they're all the way back there. Damn. They're all the way in my bedroom, and I'm in my spare room, so other in my trailer. So no.
I got most of my stuff in the bedroom back here too. But granted, if you show a bullet on screen, I could show you anything and tell you it's loaded with C4, and you'd never know.
Yeah, well,
As long as you give the audio description of it, you're good.
yeah. Well, they started out as the 250 grain. They were leaving the barrel out of a five. It said on there in a 5.5-inch barrel revolver at 950 feet per second. With the 225 grain using, I can't remember what, I don't know what powder, whatever. It's their smokeless powder. It's federal powder.
Yeah.
But out of this, right, just this thing has shot everything. Every 45 Colt I've loaded up, round ball, oddball, trail boss, everything. And I've had this thing. So this is the one that I got from you for my birthday. Thank you for that birthday present, by the way. Since then. So, I mean, and I've been aging it to make it look more like a historical piece because I just like the way they look, when they've been historicalized. They look. This one mainly sits on a holster like this all day long. I take it out once a month and I clean it when I haven't shot it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell where the sun has bleached the elements have gotten to part of this or part of that.
Natural fair wear and tear.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll just sit there and empty it out and practice my quick draw with it, Just pulling it in and out of the holster, getting some little extra wear on it, just to make it.
When I got this one from the guy, it had a light coat of surface rust starting to pit into the metal all over the place. And we just kept scrubbing it, and you can never tell that this thing was covered in surface rust.
Oh yeah,
it really played hell on the finish, and this is all cold bluing at first. And I like 3-in-1 oil because it's maybe I'm totally 3-in-1 oil doesn't really remove rust, does it? It just,
not really.
It
kind of helps prevent it.
Yes, it's a prevention, but it doesn't remove the rust. I had a Luger made in 1918, and it was all silver patina when I got it. And I just put 3-in-1 oil on it, stuck it in a gun sock, had it soaking with 3-in-1 oil, put it in a guns case, stuck it in the safe. And after like 7 years of owning that gun, it had almost an original factory blue finish back on it.
Yeah.
We lost video on you.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Okay. But so this gun was almost silver by the time I got through cleaning all the rust off of it, and all of this blued finish. I mean, it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how it looks on the camera for you, but all this blue, it's almost like it's not high gloss, but it's just plain blue. And this is just all from 3-in-1 oil. It just prevents rust, and it allows the natural finish to come back. Now, if you want to get better than that, I think it's palm oil and beeswax. You melt that together and you just put it on like a paste, and that has like an acid to it.
Yeah.
And the acid will turn it into that natural factory blue over time.
Well, what I'm doing to do with this one, I've started doing it, and it's taking one of those little just green scrub pads and just scrubbing it in spots.
Buff it.
Yeah, just buff it, kind of like what I'm doing on this cylinder right here, just to take it like this, and then use that cold blue and as a lighter bluing, because this is like a heavily dark blue, right?
Yeah.
And just do that in spots where it'd be like naturally wore and all that stuff. Like I started doing it on the back strap here. See, just taking it, just 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 not hitting it hard, just kind of
Yeah.
slapping it basically with it, just to give
Well,
it.
you remember my old Colt that I brought out to your place? I held that over boiling vinegar and hit it with a toothbrush, and I put that nice antique finish patina on it.
Yeah.
And when you do it with the acid from the vinegar, actually creates almost like a case hardening finish on it
Yeah.
because the acid burns it. So when it does start to rust, it's all surface rust. It just wipes right off with an oily wet rag.
Huh. I didn't. That's something I actually learned, and probably some other people did too, because I've never even heard of doing it like that.
Yeah, some people put the gun in the vinegar. I just got it. I turned my exhaust fan on. I was boiling it, so you got the boiling vapor coming out of the pan.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hold it over there, and I would let the boiling hot vinegar just vaporize up on it, and then maybe take a toothbrush, dip the toothbrush in the vinegar, and just scrub a few hard spots. But if you come to All Things Cowboys, Hobbies, Guns, Gear, and Garb is our main group. We're up to like over 18,000. I think we're pushing 19,000 people now, which is never saw that coming. But one of the guns up there in the picture is that gun, and it's got that antique patina finish on it.
Yeah, that's on Facebook, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, don't.
Yep.
I think it seems like for a while there, you were on like all of my streams for a while there. I found this old Remington in a house that I was cleaning, and I like no parts, no nothing. It was just the frame. I haven't. Hold on, let me get up and get it because I just found this one not least too for. Oh. Which, by the way, I sold that little snub nose that I made, and that's exactly what they were doing. And they just threw it in a drawer, and this is what happened.
Yep, like a British bulldog.
Yep. And I'm like,
is that a Pieta or Uberti or what is that?
I have no clue. I have to clean it the fuck up before I can.
If it says black powder only on the side and over here, it's going to be a Pieta. If all of the writing is down here underneath the loading lever,
well,
then it's going to be a Uberti.
Well, here's that one, and lining the barrels up.
It's going to be about a 4-inch. If you measure from back here up to where you're at, you got about a 4-inch barrel, and you have 3 inches protruding past the frame.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure, and I'm gonna have to clean it up. And I've got, like I said, I've got the parts. I might just make me a little bulldog.
But you can definitely turn that back into a functioning gun.
And I might just buy all the another conversion cylinder, and that way to have a long barreled conversion and then a short barreled. And I got rid of that one with the cap and ball cylinder.
If you're looking for a backup gun for when you're hunting, that gun with a conversion cylinder, the front sight, everything can be replaced.
Yeah,
that would be an awesome little gun for a backup.
Yeah, I don't know. They tried dovetailing, I guess, something in there for like some kind of sight, as you can see.
Yeah, they just filed in the dovetail.
Yeah, so I gotta do all that. I gotta get a little sheet of brass, do all that. Yeah,
get you the Mike Bellevue made that's called the British Bulldog, and I think Mike Bellevue did one, and it's called a black powder sight. It's for like rifles.
And then just nip it down to where it's sighted in.
Well, yeah, because you're going to get the 3/8 dovetail, so you may have to open that one up a little bit more to get that dovetail to go in. You're just going to have to fit and finish it little bit by little bit. And then the sight will be tall, and then all you're going to do is just basically file it down. Once you get it together and shoot it, you'll just start filing it until you bring that barrel. You're going to be like this. You're just going to have to keep it until it comes up to shoot, your 25-yard zero. But yeah, that's not going to be hard at all.
Yeah, it's just getting the time to do it. That's the main thing. But I might, like I said, just make a little 45 caliber. Put, load up that cylinder, throw that in there. Put the parts that I have. See what, because I've got a part bin of where I've had to buy replacement parts, so I don't know which ones are good, which ones are not. Because I've had to.
Yeah.
On this one.
Well, if that's a Pieta, Cabela sells a rebuild kit.
Not that one. This one. This one came with a spring. This 36, the spring was weak on it, like bad weak. So. Oh, one sec. Why was plugged in?
You're muted again, Jeremy.
My wife walked in, and I wanted to see what she wanted. She's coming to get the. If we don't keep the food back here, the cats will get into it, and yeah. And I'm sorry about the puppies. There's absolutely nothing I can do. They're going ballistic for some reason.
My wife's got the washing machine going on the other end of the house by the door, so I don't know if you can hear the washing machine running or not.
I can't, but I don't know if you can even hear my dog, those little puppies. It sounds like she's murdering them, but she's not.
No, they're just excited. They want to come out and play.
It's bedtime. They know it's bedtime.
Yeah.
Are they hungry, maybe?
10:30 here, so
Yeah.
I think we're going to probably have to wrap it up here in about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I was thinking that because we've been going almost 2 hours now.
Hour and 41 minutes.
Yeah. Oh.
If we get people to stick for the whole video, we're going to have some hardcore followers.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm going to try to get Mark Humphreys on here next week with us. Figure talk to him because he's been probably, I don't know how long he's been doing it, but he's got a big old YouTube channel.
Yep.
And
me and Mark made that video for him. He put it on YouTube. It's still available. It's got Logan Blackhawk is my Facebook alias. My real name is Don Gertz. And if you look up Mark Humphreys, the Black Powder Maniac versus Don Gertz, you can watch us shooting the pistol I was talking about.
I think so. Oh yeah, I gotta clear something because someone was, I guess, watching my older videos and they thought you had came down and like spent a couple of days with us or something because of how many videos I had put out. And I'm like, no, this is just us been like
just us an afternoon of having fun.
Yeah, like literally, like. And for some reason, I still can't shoot a Colt to save my life at my little spinner target at that distance. Like, good Lord, hitting that thing. Except for this thing. Now, I did get this one used. And the person that used it, it was their kid that used it for cowboy action shooting. There was actually a pair of them.
Yeah.
But I only got one. And he gave me the safety in a little Ziploc baggie. Because apparently the one that it came on there with the spring was so leak that now this is unloaded. That just being in this holster, going to draw it, it would just flick on or off, either one. And so imagine anybody that shoots cowboy action shooting. Imagine that you're shooting, and the next thing you go pull your revolver to shoot, and then you have to do that. After you've already done that. There goes your time, your rounds, or your round counts off because you're only allowed to have 5. So now you shoot 4, click, and hope that it's not like you shoot 3 and then you got to go back because they do round counts and all that stuff where you lose points. So they just took it out and just kept it under, on a empty cylinder.
Yeah. But
lost the spring. So literally the spring that's in there is off of one of these. Out of this little thing that holds the flint, the little striker part in the flint.
Yeah.
Just took that, nipped it down to where it fit in there. Boom. As you can see, works just.
Some of the springs in an AR-15, I think, for like your safety and the push pins for the takedown push pins.
Yeah.
I've actually taken the spring, when you have like a rear wheel seal for like a pickup truck or a car, I take little coil springs out, and then you can cut those and stretch them, and you can make your own springs for your takedown pins and the safety and stuff for your ARs. And then one that holds the buffer, the buffer into the tube, I've used ink pen springs. I did that for field repairs when I was on active duty. People would take them apart, or the gun double feeds, and they tried to take it apart and pull it back. And so I would just improvise with ink pens, and I still keep some of those wheel bearing seals for the rear axles. I still keep some of those the springs out of that. They're about yay long or whatever. You just cut the length, stretch them. They work perfect.
Well, you just probably saved a bunch of people like $1 bazillion.
Nah, you can buy them off Amazon now. I mean, that's the thing. You can get they might charge you $10 for a little spring that big, and $10 to ship it, especially if you get it from like Sportsman's Warehouse or something, or cheaper than dirt's real bad about that overnight, next day delivery stuff. You got to ask for the normal freight, which you're going to get it in the same amount of time. But yeah, a little spring that big, I guess it could cost you $20 depending on where you ordered it from. But you can make your own if you need to.
Honestly, after Cheaper and Dirt, when that first time there was an ammo shortage, they hiked their prices up to God. Like it was like for like freaking 9mm, like freaking you were paying like $4 a bullet.
No, I wasn't. I was casting lead bullets and reloading my own, but I know what you're saying. They just price gouge the crap. I haven't bought ammunition in 10 years, and I don't spend a lot of money on my gun hobbies anymore because I have everything. I've got plenty of it, and I cast and reload and make most of everything I need.
I think I'll buy primer and powder now. That's about it. Because
I bought so much in the past that unless I go into like stupid shooting, unless I just start shooting bullets like it's going out of style, I probably won't run out in my lifetime.
Well, no offense, that's you starting to do that probably about my age.
Yeah.
Yeah, about my age, and now I'm there.
So when you be my age, you'll be where I'm at.
Probably.
Yeah. Everybody starts this hobby somewhere at some point.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, the reason why is because I started reloading is because I had a 12-gauge shotgun. And like shotgun shells were like during that
I started reloading prices, but let's just say you better take more than your lunch money if you're going to run down to Academy Sports and Outdoors and pick up a case of number 6 or 7.5 shot for dove and quail season.
Well, no, the thing is, at the first one I was paying maybe during that first ammo shortage, it was about $40 at Walmart. If I could find a 12-gauge target load. Yeah, if you could find it, the target loads. I was paying the same price as slugs nowadays.
They got quiet, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're probably chewing your electrical system apart now because they only get quiet when they're doing something they're not supposed to.
I'm all right. Threw some more food at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm saying, like I was paying slug prices for. So I'm like, screw this. And then I'm like, okay, can I reload these without a press just to get me by? Okay, I can buy, okay, yeah, I can do this with just the pin push that I have, a washer, board, drill out a hole. And then, okay, yeah, I'll work. A little school glue. Okay, yeah, there we go. I think I watched like Mike Bellevue was I think Duelist. That's like where I found him out and then kept watching his videos and then now I see where 12 gauge reloading 12 gauge got me. And that's what I kind of like when people. I have a few friends that like to theorize what kind of guns they'd have, if shit hit the fan. Zombie apocalypse, alien invasion, and all this shit and all that shit. Just random apocalyptic scenarios.
Well, you could have some Ricky Recon Ranger awesome AR-15s and stuff for those firefight moments, but your daily survival gun is probably going to be a 12-gauge muzzleloader, and that's even if you're muzzleloading your plastic shotgun shells and reloading the primers.
Which, by the way, I learned how to do, which is it's a pain in the butt, but it's worth it.
When it comes to staying alive, it is.
Oh no, I learned how to do it just for this thing because, like the normal, I would have to get in the Magnum primers to get this thing to ignite, and then I started reloading my own primers for it. No problem.
Yeah. I mean,
like my sidearm would be something
for a survival gun. This is basically a 12-gauge shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flintlock. You don't have to have any caps. You don't have to reload any primers with match heads. And I mean, it's pretty much everything you need for dove and quail, waterfowl,
deer, buffalo,
name it. I mean, you got to get close, but this will take pretty much anything. I actually had two of these, and one had been cut down to about right here, what they called a canoe gun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like,
and I wound up selling it at one of the gun shows, but it was cut down about from my finger out to the end of the barrel. So this is about how long it was.
oh yeah, that definitely get you.
Yeah, so it was a lot more handy in the woods, but I went ahead and went with this one, and this is supposed to be all. This is all in the raw, so this is supposed to be polished, shiny silver. But I'm not in the British Army, and I'm not in the Texan Army, and I'm not in the Union Army, so I cold glued it, and then I just put the 3-in-1 on it, and that kept it just basically 3-in-1 and boar butter. And this is now the natural patina after about 2.5 going on 3 years.
For
the light probably looks more silver. That's pretty true to the actual color.
Oh yeah,
So it's kind of a gray patina.
for me, it would kind of depend on what situation I'm in because I've got a lot of percussion caps right now because when I find them, I grab them up, right? So I've got a lot of them. I've got a couple. I've got like a box over there just filled with them. So probably
I can hear you talk. I'm going to put this up, and I'm going to go grab two of the little toys, and that's my black powder. But keep talking. I can hear you.
All right. So it'd probably be like my little 36, one of my 36s as a hand cannon, or my 45 because I've got before this one I was buying primers. So probably one of these as like a. I need to fire a lot of ammo really quickly in a short burst, but it would probably be a 50. My rifle would probably be a 50 caliber, probably not a cap lock, but probably a flintlock. I'm actually looking at getting a flintlock build your own kit and like a plains rifle because that's what this one basically is a little plains rifle. But probably either a 50 caliber or 16, just something a little plains caliber.
Well, one thing I have not got yet that I want to get, and Jim Thoma, he sent me some of the bodies made out of soda cans. It's from the Tapa Cappers where you make your percussion caps.
Yeah.
And then you just go get you the German bang caps for your old cap guns and stuff, and you can get all the stuff out of there for that. And they actually work pretty good for filling your homemade percussion caps. Now, if you put everything into perspective, all right, if it's well, those are the ones, the plastic ones. I'm talking about the paper strips.
Oh, well, I use these to load my the powder inside of it to load my shotgun primers.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can get a lot of them in there, and it hits harder than a CCI Magnum shotgun primer.
Well, there you go.
So it ignites every fucking thing.
The striker part of the matchbox off and your match heads and make your own filler for that too. But here's my point. So if this is my let's go survive in the woods, this is my TC Thompson Hawken. 50 caliber, adjustable rear sight. You know, it's authentic. It's authentic enough for a rendezvous, and it's modern enough with the rear sight that you can hit any. This gun shoots a 1-inch shot group at 25 yards. Actually, this gun puts them on the balls right on top of each other like a one-hole shot group at 25 yards. Double system, whole 9 yards. And so I've got that for my hunting rifle. I'll make sure that doesn't go anywhere. And then this I picked up after the trip that I came down to see you. So this is my Silver Hammer Edition Navy Arms Double Barrel 12.
Yeah, I want one of those, or just a double barrel shotgun.
Go to Cabela's and start looking at what these things cost, because I tell you what, I thought I was getting bent over sideways when I bought this, but I got it for maybe 25% of what they're going to cost me right now to go to Cabela's and walk out the door. It's horrible, Jeremy. It's horrible.
Oh, I know. The company that I get a lot of my stuff from is Midway USA, and I'm looking to see how much they are there.
Yeah, but here's my point. So I've got a double barrel shotgun. I've got the Thompson Hawken, and technically it's the end of the world, or you have catastrophic Canadian gun laws taking effect in America. Okay. If you have a clean, dry environment to preserve your caps, how many do you need?
All of mine right now are in Ziploc, either Ziploc bags, the ones I've already opened.
Yeah.
Or the ones I haven't opened are in airtight bags.
Yeah. But for what I mean, if they're in Ziploc bags with desiccant inside ammo cans, whatever system you're using to store them, my point is, if you're going to hunt deer and elk till the day you and maybe your kids are going to die, and you're using these muzzle-loading weapons, how many? What's the magic number for how many percussion caps do you have to have?
A lot.
Okay. How many do you think the average pioneer, the minute he set his first step he took leaving St. Louis or Chicago, Illinois or whatever, on his way to Oregon, did he? I've never looked it up. 500 caps?
It would kind of depend. Did he fight the natives? I mean, is he just?
Well, he fought the rabbits. He fought the hawks. He fought the dove as well. He fought the Cheyenne. He fought the Apache, the Comanche, the Sioux. He fought highwaymen.
Yeah,
okay.
There's like easily a couple thousand. You know,
I doubt it, because if you had to fire off that many shots, you'd run out of lead before you ran out of caps. But you got to remember, when pioneers set out west in wagon trains, this model 1855, whatever this model was, this is what they had. The first brick open shotguns, I believe, started appearing in 1855 in Europe.
Okay. Yeah.
My Parker Brothers that I have is a model 1875 built in 1877. It's one of the first breech loading shotguns. Now, your Coach guns were built by Remington that you like to see in the movies, a short barrel, and a lot of those I think were cut down. But in any case, the average Pioneer carried a double barrel shotgun, or even an 1862 Springfield. They would polish out the rifling on the Civil War muskets. They had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Polish out the rifling, and they turned them into 20 gauge shotguns, and that's what that. You're a poor immigrant. You could barely afford the wagon. You barely have anything. You came across the ocean on with the shirt on your back and maybe a suitcase, and now you're heading west. So, in the survival situation, I think really, if you have 5,000 caps, I think you have a lifetime supply, because you're not going to hunt rabbits and squirrels. You're going to trap rabbits and squirrels. You're going to have to trap. You're going to make snares. You're going to have to plant food. You're going to have to, you're not going to live off of hunting. It's not like you're going to go out and shoot 25 dove and quail in a weekend and, hey, honey, we're going to feast today. So I think if you I think doing the Civil War reenactments, which you figure an average of 6 reenactments a year, 3 pistols, 18 shots, and then whatever I shot around the house, I think it took me close to 10 years to fire off 1,000 CCI percussion caps.
Yeah, well, that's a kind of like, that's always a question, like how far,
how much?
Yeah, how long are we talking? Because that's always what I try to get to them. Like, are we talking about just it's a disaster that takes only the world like 2 years to recover from before there's law and order? Because if so, I've got 2 years worth of these 45 Colts preloaded. I don't need. I can go hunting with this 50 caliber muzzleloader right here, just this one, to get my big game and stuff, and then have this on my hip for in case I get into a firefight.
Now, here's another thing, and they cost a little bit. They cost a few pennies, but I've got a ton of large Magnum pistol primers. I've got a lot. You can get the adapters where you take the percussion cap out of your muzzleloader and you replace it with this little. You got to unscrew the cap. You got to put your primer down in it. Then you screw the thing on the top, and that's got your built-in firing pin. If any of you Ruger Old Army girl, Joan Kennedy, God rest her soul, she put one on her 58.
And then off like there's ones for like the rifles and that shotgun you have. Mm-hmm. That's called the Mag Sparks that use the 219 primers. Yes. I don't remember what it was called.
So it depends. If you're a big shotgun guy, you've got the option for that. And if you're just a regular reloader like me and yourself, you can get the other one. And it adapts it to a firing pin system that uses the same hammer and everything on the gun.
Hey, Guns the Old West.
Dustin Winiger.
Yep. Is it Winegers or Weiniger? I've always been confused about that.
Weiniger. I'm going to go with Weiniger.
Yeah. But
I'm going to say, Mr. Dustin, how are you, sir?
Yeah, everyone. But anyway.
Or were you just advertising for him?
I know he popped on.
He popped on?
He came on and commented. I did send you a link if you wanted to jump on. I think I sent it to you. I don't know. My Facebook Messenger has been messing up here lately, so I might not have sent it to you. I sent it to the group chat where everybody was at. That's probably, I don't know if you've seen it or not. Nope, it did not send. I love when there you go. I love when my phone does what it wants to do. I have to get me a new one. But anyway, but now the end from a 20 gauge, kind of like how you were talking, like they would take the rifles and
They take the rifling out of the muskets and turn them into smooth bores, and they basically made 20 gauge shotguns.
yeah, like one
A
for
lot of
30.
people- that was the only gun a lot of people had when they started their journey from Illinois to Portland, Oregon, or Washington State, or California, or the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, Pedasoli calls them the Indian trade muskets.
Mm-hmm.
Shotgun 20 gauge, a flintlock one, which I've been wanting to get, is almost $2,000.
The only thing that's really affordable, and I haven't priced them for a while, are those Pakistani brown Besses.
Yeah, I've been thinking about.
And no two are exactly the same.
I know, I've been thinking about getting one, but a side by side that looks roughly like the one you have is you're paying. Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, yours is about a 28-inch barrel, right? Your side by side.
It's about 28-inch barrel. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to go here in a few minutes because I think my family's just about ready for sleep, and my daughter came out of her room. Turn that down, Daddy, please. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing: figure out what you got to do, and figure out what you want to do with it, and then figure out how much you need to feed your toys.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the bottom line. We're not living in the apocalypse, so
No.
it does get to the point where they get behind on stuff. You can't find caps. You can't find primers. You can't find reloading supplies. So you have to have a bench stock. And know when to stop stocking that bench stock is the happy median.
Oh, yeah. Like we were talking about that. If you say you've got a musket, a gun that takes musket primers, after you shoot a whole bunch of 22, save the brass. Just cut it down with a pipe cutter, open it up, put your primary in there, bam, take it off, put it in your pocket. Because this one on that Sharps, I did that for a while because I couldn't find all I could find for a while was the reenacting cap. They weren't igniting the powder. I did that. Had no problem. I made a few hundred up just to go.
And you got to figure that's part of the hobby.
Yep. But now But yeah, so I mean it works. But Dustin says he's getting packages. I guess probably for the stuff he sells, the former, which I still have to order. It seems like every time I think about it, I'm broke.
Okay. Without a visual, Dustin's got like some little clips. It's like an 8-point star, and it's got a little hook on it like this, and it is perfect for carrying your percussion caps.
Yeah, it looks.
So you get up here, if you're making your paper cartridges, you put it in, you load it, then you come up here, put it on, tear it off, put it on. It's just you stick one on, you take it off. You go to the next one, you take it off. You go to the next one, They are amazing.
Yeah, it's something. It looks something just like kind of like this, but bigger. Like
but it's got like a little claw on it, like this.
Yeah.
I've used the vacuum tubes for aerator tanks, and I've got some of the brass cap cans, the brass cappers.
Yeah,
The plastic ones that he's got. Sometimes when you're doing the Remingtons, now this is the conversion cylinder, but those cappers are really hard to get inside the grooves of that Remington cylinder unless you you're looking at the sides, unless you open those up, it's hard to get the cap cans in there. And those amazing.
Even though it's not loaded, I still find that cylinder that I have. I took basically a couple of round balls and shoved them down in there just to keep that cylinder from empty, because that cylinder is actually like majorly undersized for a 38. So I don't even want to try to use that one.
Well, Jeremy, I've got to get going. We are pushing 2 hours and 9 minutes, so that's
Yeah,
it has been fun, and we need to do this again. We need to get we need to get the band back together, get everybody on here.
yeah. I'm hoping like every Saturday we can start doing this more often. But again, I understand life happens and stuff. So
Even if we do it like every other Saturday or something like that,
Yeah.
try to get in here for it. As long as we put it out there and let people know that we're going to be doing it, I think
this was kind of a high surprise.
this is kind of like a little flat, like a little last minute, throw it together. Let's do it. And
Well, if you've noticed on my channel, it's just been kind of I upload when I got a chance. I just because my work schedule was so chaotic.
brother, I haven't made a video at the farm in probably a year and a half. I don't even remember the last time I went out there to shoot.
That water jug test was the last time I've shot it. I've pulled the trigger of a gun.
Yeah,
and that
been a while for me too.
That's been a couple months. I've made like other things, but anyway, guys, see y'all the next time. Hopefully, either we'll have Mark Humphreys next week, and
we'll get everybody we can get to show up and do it.
Yep. So I will talk to you. We'll see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.